Don't take the presence of the storm to indicate the absence of God. Sometimes when you enter into a storm, and there are all kinds of storms, health storms, physical storms, financial storms, emotional storms. There are all kinds of storms. I'm not talking about the storms that rain down water and the lightning and the thunder and all of that. I'm talking about storms that other people can't see. Undetectable storms. Storms that make people think you haven't been through anything. Because you get up out the bed every morning and you put your hair up and put your makeup on, and they don't know you put your smile on just like you did your makeup, and walked in smiling because you were going through a secret storm. Has anybody ever gone through a secret storm? See, when you're going through a visible storm, somebody will hand you an umbrella or a raft or some help or some assistance because they are aware of your suffering. But when you're going through a secret storm, there is no comfort there because nobody knows that you're dealing with a secret storm. They're jealous of the car you're driving, not knowing that it's 2 payments behind. They're envious of the position that you were promoted to, not knowing that now that you're promoted into that position, you can't even rest at night. You can't even sleep at night. You've got so much pressure and so much responsibility on you. And all of a sudden you're in a storm and nobody even knows it. And when we get in a storm, we have a tendency to wonder, where is God? Job said, I looked for him. He was there a minute ago, but now I can't find him. I looked on the right side and I couldn't find him. I looked on the left side and I perceived him not. Where is God in the storm? Because we buy into this notion that if God was with us, we would have no storm. That if God were really with us, we would be happy. That if God were really with us, everything would go smoothly. That if God were really on our side, we would have no family problems. If God were really with us, our bills would be paid. How could God be with us and us be in foreclosure? How? Job said, I can't figure it out. How could my kid die and God be with me? How could my house be on fire and God be with me? I looked for him. I looked for him. I didn't see him. I didn't see him. I looked on the right. I didn't see him. I looked behind me. I didn't. You said you had my back. I didn't see him. I looked in front of me. I thought he'd lead the way. I didn't see him. But you cannot see in a storm. That's why he told you to walk by faith and not by sight. You cannot see in a storm. Don't look for God to be sensual in your storm. He will not appeal to your senses. Your senses add to your comfort. God will not make you comfortable in your storm. But just because you are in the presence of the storm does not negate the presence of God, nor does it indicate the absence of God. In fact, if you really want to see God do his best work, get in trouble. I know you think God does his best work when you're dancing in the church and you're clapping and you're raising your hands and all of that stuff. No. I know that God visits your praise. The Bible said he inhabits the praises of Israel. I understand that God visits your praise. But if you want to know where God lives, he lives in trouble. The Bible said he is a very, very present help in the time of trouble. If you're looking for God, he's in the storm. He may not be saying anything, Peter. You may find him asleep on the boat in the bottom of the ship, but don't think that he jumped off the boat because you were in a storm. He is with you in the storm. He promised to be with you. I'm going to tell you something about the promises of God. Anytime God promises you something, get ready for trouble. I know you haven't heard it taught that way, but I'm going to rock your world this morning. Anytime God promises you something, get ready for trouble. I never promise the obvious. I never promise the obvious. You never promise the obvious. You give a promise when you know that something is going to come to make you doubt. If I write Michael a check, the check is a promise. He cannot spend it, but it is a promise that the money is behind it. Whenever God promises you something, he says, you may not have it in your sensual realm right now, but I promise you. Good God. Did he promise you anything? I heard him myself. I heard him when he said, he promised me, when you pass through the water, I'll be with you. He wouldn't have said that if his presence was apparent, because you never promised the obvious. He said, but when you pass through the water, you got my word on it. I am in there with you. You may not see me, you may not feel me, you may not sense me, but I tell you what, all the while you're stroking in the water, understand you are not stroking by yourself. Don't be so aware of the storm that you lose awareness of the God in the storm. I wish I had time to talk about time. What do you do when the clock is against you and you have enough wisdom to do it over, but you don't have enough time to do it over? What do you do when you've missed your season and you've missed your window of opportunity? What do you do when you know that you've got the desire to do it and you've got the passion to do it, but you look in the mirror and the wrinkles in your face and the sagging of your body indicates you don't have time to do this all over again? She says, I don't have time to get pregnant again. I don't have a second chance at life. My life is over. Go away. Don't hang around me. I have nothing left to give. There are people that when you start running out of time, you get bitter, you get desperate, you start pushing people away from you because they're asking something of you that you don't think you can give anymore. Oh, I wish I had time. At this age, at this stage, there's a reason why it happened at this age. There's a reason why it happened at this level in life. It's not a mistake. It's not an accident. God didn't fall asleep on the job and the devil came in and wrecked the car. No, God never sleeps and he never slumbers. He's in complete control and he knows where you are and he knows how old you are and he knows how much time you spent and he knows what happened to you and he knows who walked out and left you and he knows who betrayed you and he knows who molested you and he knows who raped you and he knows who rejected you and he knows where you are in life and he knows about your bills and he knows about your degree and he knows you dropped out of school and he knows about what you didn't get and he knows about the health of your child and he knows about the condition of your neighborhood. Understand that and tell yourself nothing just happens. Woo! Oh, God, Your mistakes were in his will. Your trouble was in his will. Your pain was in his will. I don't care what you went through. David said, if I make my bed in hell, thou art there. If I take the wings of their morning and ascend to the uttermost parts of the earth, God is still there. He was with you in the middle of your trouble. He was with you in the middle of your pain. That's why Paul said, I've learned whatever state I'm in, therewith to be content. I know how to be rich. I know how to be poor. I know how to be free. I know how to be bound. You ought to shout, I don't care where you are, because nothing just happens. Got 7 people and tell him he's got a plan. He's got a plan. Whatever God has predetermined to happen will come to pass. And no devil in hell has ever been able to abort the purpose of God, not once. And yes, God gave you a human will and you're a free moral agent, but if you think that your human will is strong enough to change his divine will, you are tripping. You are out of your mind. God is God. The reason we worship him as God is because he is the CEO. He is in charge. He runs the universe. And when God gets ready to make you, and when God gets ready to break you, and when God gets ready to take you, he's never been without the power to make you yield to his will. He's never, not one moment or time, not been able to orchestrate your affairs and nothing in your life. Think about the most damnable thing that ever happened and shout nothing. Think about the most embarrassing thing that ever happened in your life and shout nothing. Think about the most impoverished, financially depleting thing that ever happened in your life and shout nothing. Think about people who loved you and walked out and left you and shout nothing. Think about betrayal on the highest level of your life and shout nothing. Think about the struggle going on your job right now and shout nothing. Think about the attitude of your kinfolks and your family members and shout nothing. Think about how your boss is treating you on your job and shout nothing. Think about your past life of sin, your whoremongering, your inappropriateness, your attitude, your dysfunction, and shout nothing. Shout nothing. Let the devil hear you say nothing. In the midst of hell and high water, shout nothing. In the midst of pain and despair, shout nothing. When your credit is denied, shout nothing. When you're evicted out of your house, shout nothing. When your boyfriend marries somebody else, shout nothing. Nothing. I feel a glory in this place. Some of you, just when the devil thought you would never do it again, God made milk gush out of your breast. I tell you, it's not over till God says it's over. And God's going to do some things in your life that you don't understand. So it makes your excuses foolishness, because you're making excuses based on what you've seen happen before. What you've seen happen before, but nothing just happens. God's gonna do something. I gotta quit. Oh, I can't do it. God's gonna do something for somebody in this room that you have never seen happen before in your life. You've never seen him do it for anybody else. You've never heard about him doing it. You can't explain how he did it, but God's going to make it happen. Interruption is an illustration. The frustration is an illustration. The hatred of your enemies is an illustration. Jesus is preaching, and here comes a gang of his enemies coming in talking about what you gonna do about this. Hey, stop preaching what you gonna do about this. If your God is so good, what say ye about this? Have you ever had something come up in your life that challenged what you were teaching and said, what are you gonna do about that? Where is your God now? He brought her in while Jesus was training disciples for ministry. Here comes a group of his enemies bringing in a woman caught in the act of adultery, seemingly interrupting his sermon, but really she becomes his sermon. God can preach more to you through the things you go through than he ever will through the sermons you hear. You will learn more about God at the bus stop, in the unemployment line, dealing with the crisis in the hospital than you ever did at church. You will learn more about God raising children, getting married, going through sickness, going through tests. It looks like an interruption, but no, God is using the stuff in your life to show you I'm still God in it. I'm God in the biblical storm. I'm God